Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pillar to Post. I am Rashaun Alleyne, and with Kobia Hamblin as usual. And together, we're about to preview the first race day since Gold Cup dates, to paying tribute to the heritage of the Garrison Historic Area Race Day. It's an eight-race card, Kobia, and it's going to be very competitive.
Hey, Rashaun. Hey, everyone. And we're not even going to hesitate. We're going to jump straight into it. The Barbados Museum and Historical Society Handicap is the first race on the day's card. This race is going 5.5 for horses 60 and below. Rashaun, we start the day with a 6-horse field. Not very wide, but there are quite a few picks. But we both land on horse number 2, Leah, who was one of our picks Gold Cup day. She ended up running second in a flat 5. She ran second to a maiden, actually, Espresso. But when you look at her in this field, I think she is the one standout horse where I think she is going to relish favoritism and turning her 8-5 as a winner.
Yeah, I'm not going to take any credit for her. I did not pick her on Gold Cup Day. You did, and kudos to you. But I
Thank you.
think in this spot that she lands back in, she's going to be very, very tough to beat. If you look in her last 3 starts, she's got 2 seconds. I think she can go one better. That seventh just left a little bad taste in my mouth. But here, she's claiming 5 with Raheem Thorpe on board, so 125 pounds. And she gets back horses that you see behind her in this race, like Let It Be Me and Binary Code, who I think she's just faster than, and she might be loose, so then better than in this spot. So I'm going to take Leah with you. We don't get creative to start the day. I take Let It Be Me, the Guineas winner, underneath, who I just think will get a good trip underneath Ricky Walker, tracking closely behind Leah, closer than Binary Code, and then Binary Code with Blackett claiming 7 pounds. But I think Binary Code has had his chances, so I'm going to put him on my third line.
Yeah, and I have absolutely no problem with that. We both chose what we assumed to
Yeah,
be
the
the
same
lone.
trifecta.
Yeah, put it anywhere you want it, but 1, 2, and 5. We both ended up on the speed horse and picked 2 of the classier closers to run at her late, but I don't think either of the 2 are going to catch her. I think Leah is, or should be, at least on paper, an easy winner to open the day.
If the good Leah shows up, she'll be tough.
So we're going to mosey on to race number 2, the George Washington House Handicap, going 5.5 once more, this time for non-winners of 3, rated 55 and below. And once more, it's not too deep of a field. We have 6 horses again. Espresso was unfortunately a scratch. Very impressive winner last race day, Gold Cup day, handing in her maiden certificate. But this race day, I landed on horse number 4, Legendary, your early morning 3-2 favorite. Now, the reason I picked this horse is this is Mr. Consistency. His last few starts, he's been second, third, a handful of fourths, a handful of thirds, but his last win was dated back 12th of July, 2025. This is over 8 months ago. But looking through the rest of the field, I mean, it's pretty hard to have a decisive winner. Charisma should look really good, but at 130 pounds, and considering this horse has never won going 5.5, it is a hard pick. I do understand if persons go for that. But going back to my pick, going back to a start of his a few race days ago, running at Fantastic Justice, spending money, the same Simmer Down and some others that this horse has been consistently beating. These are all missing from this race, bar Simmer Down. I think Legendary should be able to one up these horses and scamper home. I don't see any strong competitor stopping this one from winning again.
Yeah, I mean, Legendary definitely is one of the horses to beat in this race. I'm going to take the class of Charisma. I am not too concerned about her cutting back to 1100 meters. Yes, she's never done it, but when you look at Charisma, she's not the biggest horse. She's also not bred necessarily to stay. She stayed well, which is great, but this is a horse who's out of a Guineas winner, Florette, and Florette, she won the Guineas at a mile, but really,
She
did
knew
Florette
what speed was.
yeah, did Florette really want to go far? So I wouldn't be too averse to Charisma on her class cutting back. And then the 130 pounds, it does not bother me because I'm going to take Legendary on my second line. And at 128 pounds, I just think Charisma has a much higher ceiling than Legendary, who has been running good races. And the one you showed behind Fantastic Justice. But Charisma cutting back for me. Then I'm going to go Legendary and Simmer Down, keeping that order as Simmer Down was behind Legendary in the race with Fantastic Justice. Now, obviously, are these horses that has shown an affinity for 5.5 more than Charisma? Sure. But I just think on class and with Rashid Hughes, Charisma can get the job done.
I think that was also a factor for me. Simply saying that they're better horses at the distance, or more consistent horses at the distance than Charisma. But once again, it's not too creative with our first three, basically the same, different order. Um, yeah, there's not much else to say about
Yeah.
this race.
I
So
guess for me, the only thing is that I would take a better horse rather than a horse who's better at the distance. Obviously, those things are very nuanced, but we'll see how race number two is going to pan out.
yeah,
Yeah,
completely circumstantial.
right, exactly.
um,
And then race number three, we're going to move on to that one. It's the Stone Barracks Handicap. It runs 1,800 meters for our 17 and lower, 3 year olds and older. And I think this one is going to be a very interesting affair. We're going to go again, with the same exact, to just a different order.
Surprise, surprise, once more, isn't it? I landed on Fantastic Shante, simply saying this is, in my opinion, the class horse of the race, especially what I consider to be the lone speed. I think Saturday we should get a fast track if conditions remain the same, and I see the speed holding up similarly to really any other race day. Fantastic Shante would have just ran second to Valiant, going 10 furlongs, and Rashaun, must I say more? We have seen similar situation, or so many situations where horses run with better step back and then blind whatever field comes next. Now, Heroes Day does merit a great chance, but 131 pounds amid the apprentice claim, I'm sorry, that's still scary to me. I'm sticking with Fantastic Shante on this one. Mandarin Oriental ended up being my second choice. Just ran second to Luscious Gold Cup Day. Luscious, who we thought would go on to be maybe higher than what she is now, but that's a conversation for another day. And to close out my top three, I end with Priceless at 120 pounds. That is too attractive to ignore.
Well, I I just have a different feeling. The only thing I agree with is that Fantastic Shante is the class. When you look at her form, she's dropping from an AB and lower behind Valiant, who got everything her own way. I disagree. I don't think Fantastic Shante is going to be the speed in this race. Showtime stretching out, Queen of the South stretching out. Prices has been on the pace for his last couple starts, so I don't know if she's going to
I,
be
I,
there.
I just to interject a bit, I really, really want to see Showtime show her early speed, but she's been so on and off recently that I'm just not the most confident. That's all.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the tactics are going to be, but it has to be to show some speed. So for me, Fantastic Chantil is the one that I look to immediately. But I think Mandarin Oriental getting Rashid Hughes at 112 to 15 pounds is very, very attractive. And I'm going to go with him. He ran very well in the Tango, and he came out of that race to run second on Gold Cup Day with Jalon Samuel to just miss behind Luscious, a horse who I think is doing really well. So I think Mandarin Oriental wants the 9 furlongs. He's trending in the right direction. He's finding some good form. So with Rashid Hills, I wouldn't be surprised that he would be able to win this race. Obviously, if you remember, he came off the bench to run second behind Fantastic Shante in his prep for the
Yeah,
Derby. And I think that obviously he ran well in the Triple Crown races that he participated in, and since then lost his way. And now he's trying to find some footing again. I
he
think
was
he's a
almost
better
back in
horse.
Austin, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's a better horse than the one she beat prior to his Derby. So I'm looking to turn the tables here. And I also was tempted to put Showtime over Fantastic Shantae, because if you look at the race with behind Mystic Rain, which was 2 starts back for Fantastic Shantae, she had 122 pounds. Showtime had 128. Did not have a great trip. So Showtime gave Fantastic Shantae 6 pounds and only lost by 5 lengths to her. And if we say a pound is a length, 6 lengths, 6 pounds, and only losing by 5 lengths to her. I was tempted to flip the form, but I know Fantastic Shantae likes the trip. I'm not sure what kind of trip I'm going to get from Showtime, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Showtime run higher than third. So I'm going to go Mandarin Oriental over Fantastic Shantae and Showtime.
Okay, so as we get to halfway, the Pavilion Court handicap going 5.5 for horses rated 25 to 15. I immediately landed on the early morning favorite, early riser. Now, as much as earlier in the show, I would have mentioned another horse with about 130, 131 pounds, where I'm not interested in that line. I had to go with early riser simply because sprinting, I don't think this affects horses too much. Now, looking back at this horse's class and recent performances, this horse has not ran out the top five, the top two actually, in about 5 starts, bar his last start, 14th of February 2026. Now, his last win came 15th of November 2025, and that was a while ago. I'm not sure what quite went wrong there. But if I can get that horse claiming £5, which puts him at £128. I don't think there's anything except a train that could stop this horse. Looking through the rest of the field, there are a few horses who are a bit inconsistent. Temple Dancer, Miss Universe, Visionary, who all do stand a chance. I think Early Riser is the crown favorite in this for a good reason.
No, I'm gonna go against him. I don't have him anywhere here. If he wins, am I surprised? No, I am not. But I don't put much stock into a horse rated 26, thinking that he's gonna take 128 pounds and beat horses, that are getting way less weight than he is. So not necessarily confident in the class per se of a horse rated 26, but he is definitely the first one you look at on this page. I'm going to go with number three, Temple Dancer, which I never thought I would ever say in life. But he won his last start way too easy. If you look at this replay, his ears are just cocked forward. He picked up the race on the bridle, and it felt like this was very long overdue for this 9-year-old son of Mingin Temple, who was able to get a second win last time out. Now, I don't know if you say the light bulb goes on for a 9-year-old who ran a million times, but if he repeats this race, he will be very tough to beat. And then he's claiming with Blackett, who's a really good apprentice, to 115 pounds. I'm willing to take a horse off this win, getting 13 pounds from a horse like Early Riser, who's coming off of off the board finish. So I'm willing, if I get some odds on Temple Dancer, to go against Early Riser with him. Then I'm going to take number 5, Miss Universe, and then Rockin' Robin and Visionary. It seems like Rashid Hughes is trying to really hard to win Miss Universe. He's ridden her now a couple times and hasn't gotten her to the wire, but he's persistent, and we'll see if this is the day he
You
breaks
clearly
through.
see something within this one.
Yeah, exactly. And then Rockin' Robin with the speed. You showed the replay where Rockin' Robin ran behind Early Riser. I think with the speed that this one has could be a factor, especially if the conditions stay firm and favorable. And then Visionary, who actually led the race that Temple Dancer won, which was a surprise. But again, at 113 pounds, I'm more eager to play that one over Early Riser at 128.
And I see nothing wrong with that, but where I'm going to stamp on your shoes is a comment with Temple Dancer. I mean, Temple Dancer only made that big run because Early Riser wasn't there. So
Well,
with,
we'll see.
with the 122 pounds, though, I can see where you're going with this, especially claiming 7 with an apprentice like Blackett. All you want is someone with a bit of ability. But who stands out more than that for me on my second line specifically is Visionary with 113 pounds. Visionary, who isn't, your typical pace setter. I think Early Riser will suit this one a little bit more and will give Visionary something to run at. But let's see how that goes. 7, 6, 5, and 3 are my 4 for race number 4.
Let's start betting. Go to BarbadosTurfClub.org. Click Betting and select Mobile Wagering Information. To the left, click Start Betting. Enter your account and PIN to log in. Select Event. Then select the race followed by your bet type. And choose your bet amount. Select your horse or horses. When finished, click Bet, verify, and click Accept, and you're ready to win.
So we're going to kick off the second half of the card with race number 5. It's the Stafford House allotted weights race, and it's a West Indian bred 3-year-old maiden. So again, it's, I guess, Triple Crown season now that the Gold Cup is over, and everybody's trying to get their wins and their points. And this is a really deep maiden field to be in the middle of the card.
Yeah, as I call it, the road to the Derby. We see a handful of new faces: Narcos, Huitoto, and Zulu Ruler, amongst other formidable names, Electra, Undeniable, and so on. Now, we both land on horse number 1, Undeniable, as our winner, 2 seconds in his last 2 starts. That was both with older horses as well with his own company. And we both agree that this one should be going one better on paper, at least. Ricky Walcott retains the right, 123 pounds, going 7.8. I don't think there's anything on paper that is in this horse's way.
Yeah, I think this is a foregone conclusion. Obviously, they have to run it, but he's probably one of the most likely winners on the card. I think also when we think about who's around in the crop, with Flying Jenny being head and shoulders above them, and another filly in the Tower winning the Hopeful, this might be the field where the Colts are of the crop are going to show out. And I think Undeniable is that colt that would be up against Flying Jenny. But he has to get through this hurdle first, of course, before the Guineas. And in the recap show previously, we talked about Dapper David. Andrew Nunes just has a stranglehold on the 3-year-old division right now. And as you see Undeniable running second to an older filly in Charisma, who is fourth in her Derby, I think Undeniable is a horse that we will be hearing from in the Derby. He's made, as you said, improvement start after start, running 2 seconds. I think this is a race that he should win.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I went with horse number 4, trained by Antonio Perez, Barnabas, as my second choice. This colt was second in his last effort as well. On my third line is Cotton Reel. I'm just going with the consistent runners. Maybe a first-time runner is going to come and show some colors that we aren't quite looking for. And to close out my first 4, I went with horse number 7, Aspire, who always gets in the world of trouble, but I think if she's good enough to keep out, she's also good enough to run fourth once more against this company.
Yeah. Well, I am going to go with horse number 9, Zulu Ruler, on my second line. Again, the ones that have run, I'm not necessarily too enamored by. So I'm looking to take a first-time starter here for Victor Cheeseman. I saw him school in the parade ran on race day in January, and he looked like a racehorse. He is by Eagle Speak, and he's out the Floret. The Guineas winner we mentioned earlier, because he is a half brother to Charisma, so there is some class in the family. And again, his physical is very impressive. So if he runs to those looks, I think this is another colt to keep an eye on. Number 10, Cotton Reel. Obviously, it's easy to go to 110 exact to here. I just don't like the last start behind Charisma and Undeniable. Him finishing fourth in that spot was a little disappointing to me. Again, I picked him in his second start when he made that big jump in his second start. I just didn't see that same progression running his third start behind Charisma and Undeniable. So I'm going to just hold that as a negative and put him on my third line. And then number 4, Barnabas, who ran at Relentless in his last start. Relentless came back to run in the 3-year-old race, the Beige and Blue, behind Flying Jenny, was third. Don't think that race was very impressive from Relentless breaking his maiden, and then he didn't come back to be very competitive in that spot. So I don't think that race is going to be super formful. So I'm going to put Barnabas just because he's known what it is to run well on my fourth line. But I really think it's Undeniable's race to lose here.
Okay. So we skedaddle on to race number 6. He said Anne's Fort handicap 5.5, horses going 40 and lower. And surprise, surprise, I land back on my consistent horse, Thunder Lady. Now, Thunder Lady has not won a race. This is since, I think, about the 13th of December, 2025, just a few months ago. But regardless of the fact, some way, somehow, this horse always gets a brilliant rail draw, and not what her accustomed is. She now has 126 pounds rather than a penny stamp, but she's still by far easily the fastest horse in this race. And as Ricky Walker does it best, from pillar to post, and keep everyone behind, keep everyone wide, keep everyone away. And that's the winning secret with this horse. On my second line, I ended up with horse number 6, Rare Nickel. 2 starts back, broke Nico's Hunts. I hope I didn't butcher his name. Apologies if I did. Brought his maiden going 5.5 as well. Similar conditions, similar race, but I think Thunder Lady in this spot is a bit more attractive to me. On my third line, I ended up with horse number 8, Caribbean Kitten. And to close out, my first 4 is Social Distance, who's been a touch off of his usual finishing, but now being back in the hands of Richard Dean, let's see if he can come back to what we know him to be, competitive in this field. And that's my first 4, 1, 6, 8, and 4 in race number 6.
Yeah, now on Thunder Lady really quickly, as you said, she steps the same weight, and I just don't think she gets to be comfortable here with this weight. With the presence of number 2, Fool Me Not, right to her outside, if that horse breaks, she could potentially make Thunder Lady uncomfortable. And she was in the race last time on Gold Cup Day, and Thunder Lady did not get good dynamics. Obviously, there was Leah and others, but I'm not sure Thunder Lady is loose in this spot. I'm actually going to take a horse surprise you didn't play at all, is number 9, Northern Lady, who comes out of the race that Thunder Lady lost last time out behind Leah and Espresso on Gold Cup Day, where she was drawn the widest, 12 of 12. Granted, she had 111 pounds, but I think this was a very impressive performance for her to be third in this spot. 1,100 meters, it hits her square in the eyes. She won very impressively 2 starts back. obviously the form before that, I have no idea where these last two races came from. But Northern Lady's running really good races. So with the claim of 5 pounds to 124, I'm not gonna go against her. I'm not gonna spend too much on my second through fourth because it's exactly the same as you. I'm obviously you have to mention the fact that neither of us want anything to do with Princess Julia in this spot, even though Rashid Hughes gets on board. Where at least for me, with the weight of 130 pounds and drawn so wide, there are some others that I like with lighter weight that have things going for them. I'm gonna take over
Yeah.
Princess Julia. She could have gone for the fourth spot here with Social Distance, who I liked in his last start, so I'm going to give him another chance. Caribbean Kitten with 112 pounds, he closes really well. And as you said, we're Nichols in there as well. But I really think it's a shock to see that you don't have Northern Lady here, but we'll see how that one goes.
Part of me is saying it's more of a shout that neither of us have Princess Julia, but I guess we went our own way. We made up our mind and we're sticking to it. I mean, this horse, her last start was a win, but let's see
Yeah,
what
it's the
happens.
weight for me and the draw. I really don't think that. Obviously, she's good. Don't get me wrong. She's rated 39 in this 40 race, but the way I could take another chance, take someone else. But I understand why someone might want to play her. But we'll see. And then moving on to race number 7, it's the main guard handicap. It goes 1,800 meters, and this is our high five race on the card. And this one is actually very deep and competitive, even with some of the notable scratches in here.
Yeah, Rashaun. I mean, arguably, this is the hardest race to handicap on the card. And I had a time going through this race. I mean, this race was like Big Rock felt like doing a CXC all over again. I did land on horse number 9, Show Me the Milk. When I assessed this race, I looked through it and I saw the likes of Malala, Wall Street, Red Force, Red Eagle, Heidi Marie. And I thought Show Me the Milk is by far the fastest horse in this race. This horse is going to go to front and Ricky's going to try to wall the dog. Now, Show Me the Milk, who's come into some form that I don't know where this horse has found it from, but she is taking every exam and passing it with flying colors. Her last few starts have been a third, a fourth, 2 seconds. Her last win was 19th of March 2025, but when this horse is loose on the lead, especially with Ricky Walker, we know what this one can do. In the race highlighted above, we have her coming to the line with Amazing Jane going 9 furlongs, and she stood a really good chance in this race, but I think even just coming to the line with Amazing Jane was even more impressive. A few horses in this race was in that said replay that she completely dismissed, had absolutely no regard or respect for them. On my second line, I went with horse number 4, Detente. Third, I went all the way down to Red Eagle. Red Eagle now picks back up the visors, and let's see if that keeps him a bit more sharp and engaged into the race. Heidi Marie, horse number 16, takes off the blinkers. Let's see if that's a positive or a negative. And to close out my high five, I had a time with this race, is War Party. Now, War Party seems to be the horse that needs a lot of riding to get into the race. And with how fast this is going to be and how much traffic this horse probably is going to have, I can see him getting stuck here and there, and traffic being the deciding factor for this one. So I'm leaving War Party on my 5th line. I wouldn't be very surprised if this one does prove me wrong and gets through a bit faster. I still don't think it's going to catch Show Me the Milk, who's going to be the lone leader, and I think is going to slip them from about 4 furlongs up.
Yeah, we are seeing the pace dynamics of these races very differently. Now, Show Me the Milk obviously is very quick and would likely be contesting the lead or on the front. But I really think Octavia Sienna has one way of going in this spot. And I almost played with her, picking her. But I think Octavia Sienna could make Show Me the Milk uncomfortable. I'm actually going to take horse number 13, War Party, in this spot, who I know it might be hard, but he's coming off of a 5th and a 9th. His form is a little dirty, but 3 starts ago, he won a 50 and lower. And if you look in his form, he's never run this low. He hasn't run, sorry, this low in a very long time, this 45 and lower race. And he's rated 44. So he's the top rated horse that's gotten into the field. And he's run with the 60s, the 55s, the 50s, and won a 50, as I mentioned. So I think cutting back, this is a horse that could be a little forgotten because of the form that he's coming in with. But why not War Party, especially when he's also the top rated horse in the race and claiming 7 to 119 pounds? I think that War Party in such a deep field will, as I said, will get lost and will be very, very tough to beat. And as you see in this replay, he's also beating Heidi Marie, who he reopposes, who's claiming in this spot and is likely to get some play. And last time they faced each other, she was 8th and he was 9th. And obviously I'm not splitting hairs about an 8th and a 9th, but he was finishing much better than she was. So I'm going to take War Party in this spot on top of Malala, who Now, third star off the bench gets Richie Hughes. And if you think about mid of the year last year, this was one of the most informed horses at the Garrison. So hopefully she remembers who she is and can get into the high five here. Then number 16, as I mentioned, Heidi Marie, love the weight, also very highly rated in this 45 class. So I'm going to take her. Then Red Eagle, who always finds some way to place. Again, he's not really a horse that wins, but if you look through his form again, he's got what? 3 seconds, a third, and a fourth in his last 5 starts. And then I'll take number 4, Detente, who initially I really liked in this spot because if you go back to her race on Boxing Day where she won a 45 and lower this same class, she was very impressive doing that at a mile. But here at 9 furlongs, I just wish she would have claimed from the 126. But so it's because of that weight that I have her lower. But if she were to claim, I would have her a little higher. So that's my 5 for the main guard handicap. And we're just going to quickly move on to race number 8. It's the Garrison Savannah Handicap. It's 1,570 meters for the 95 and lower in Kobia. It is featuring who might be the most exciting horse at the Garrison right now.
And the most exciting is very correct. I mean, 11 lengths is a lot to take out. And as much as this is on paper a big step forward compared to, being a maiden going straight into what is, I think we would call this a B class, 95 and lower. Mystic Rain has no question in my mind. He's going to blow away this field once again. Now, I know he's not going to have the 105 pounds. He's going to probably do about 112, 113. That's typical Rashid Hughes weight. But there's nothing here on this paper that I think is half as good as him. Princess Aruna, who's been knocking around, I had her for third in the Tanglewood. She ended up running fourth, and she's been missing for just a little bit. Maybe that's by design and not necessarily by
yeah. There was nothing for the 90s, so I don't think she was necessarily missing.
But Mystic Rain's performance in his last start, 134, eased down, unasked, unquestioned. I am excited to see this horse and to see where he ends up in a calendar year's time.
No, this is definitely a very exciting horse. As you said, 134 to do that. It was very, very impressive. When you think about the Gold Cup winner on Boxing Day, also running 134. He ran 134 and 4. Public Sector ran 134 and 3 on Boxing Day. So Mystic Rain, as I said in the call, the sky is the limit. My only concern here is how fast does he want to go up the ladder? Because if he wins this race in 95 and lower, beating Princess Aruna, who's rated 10 pounds above him, also taking overweight, how quickly will he catapulted to the top, where he might be, up for the challenge, but that's obviously some things like how far does he want to win this race by, and how much weight does he want to get the full 15 by winning by 20? We'll see, but I'm gonna take Mystic Rain and Princess Aruna as well, because really and truly, who's supposed to down Mystic Rain in this race?
Yeah, and you mentioned how fast you want to go up the ladder. I think, unfortunately, for the connections of Mystic Rain, whether he wins by a length or whether he wins by 10, the handicappers are going to have a field day with him. Overweight, underrated. Yeah, you're going to take a hammering, but there's still nothing for this horse to be afraid of. Take the bull by the horns and go for it.
Yeah, 100%. He is who if he is who we think he is when he goes up the ladder, he will handle himself. And I think this would be C class. I think 140 to 20 would then be the A, 120 to 100 would be B. So then when he goes into that B class, I think he can hang with them. But we'll see. He has to, again, get over this hurdle first, and then we take it one race at a time. But all this conversation is stemming because of that last performance, and we'll see what he'll do for an encore.
But that's it for tonight. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for your support. We thank you for your kind words. And may all your bets be winning ones this weekend.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in to Pillar to Post. As always, please follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on X, and subscribe to our YouTube. And as Kobia said, good luck this weekend, and may all your bets be winning ones.